Hey guys, Ben here and welcome back to another video on The Flash. Today we're going to be talking about the post-credit scene of the Flash movie. We're going to be discussing this and a lot more in today's video, so if you do go on to enjoy the video, please be sure to leave a like and a comment and subscribe and turn on notifications so you don't miss any future DCTV videos later this year. Okay, so we've talked about the Flash movie quite a lot, and as you guys know, about a month ago I actually watched the film. I was very lucky to see it super early. I still can't put out my review, however the Flash is coming out in about a month's time as of right now, so obviously as we get closer to that you're going to be able to see my review and proper reaction of this film. But in the meantime, you can go check out my reaction video. I did like a little short, so you can go see my brief initial reaction. But anyway, I should say I have not seen a post-credit scene, so I feel like it's totally reasonable for me to talk about this and theorize about this. And I'm not lying to you guys, I honestly haven't seen one, so let's get into this. So this is coming from comicbookmovie.com. The title of the article is "The Flash's Big Post-Credits Cameo May Have Been Revealed," and obviously got some spoilers here, so watch out if you want to avoid spoilers. However, I have to tell you, you have to take it with a big grain of salt because this is according to some sources and it's a rumor after all. So this was released a while ago, but I had it in my notes that we had to discuss it at one point, and so this is how the article goes. The Flash has undergone massive changes over the past year, particularly after DC Studios was formed. Original plans called for the DC Comics adaptation to set the stage for Crisis on Infinite Earths as a movie, but the movie now seems more of a standalone in nature, with it likely laying the groundwork for the new DCU and writing problematic actor Ezra Miller out of the franchise. So according to some reports that comicbookmovie.com cites, the post-credit scene that is being rumored to happen at the end of the Flash movie is Ezra Miller's Flash approaching Bruce from behind, but when he turns around, it's George Clooney, not Michael Keaton. So this is what they are reporting right now, that the post-credit scene of the Flash movie is going to have a cameo from a new Batman. Obviously we've seen him as Batman before in Batman and Robin, and fans have been speculating about all sorts of characters showing up in the Flash movie because it's really about the multiverse and time travel, so it opens up the possibility to talk about different worlds and explore different things and introduce different characters, especially since this is Flashpoint. So Barry's going to run back in time, he's going to change the timeline by accident by saving his mum, and he's going to try and correct it just like he does in the comics, like he does in the animated film, and every iteration it always happens. And so he's going to fix a timeline, but you can't fully fix a timeline once it's been broken. So there's going to be some changes, and maybe one of those changes could be what is being reported here, that maybe Bruce has been replaced, and in this reality it's not Michael Keaton anymore, which it was throughout most of the film. Obviously you've seen that in the trailer and in the synopsis and all the promotion. But maybe it ends with the switch, with the timeline being restored but slightly broken. George Clooney shows up as Batman, and so that would leave the fastest man alive stranded as a hero who explores other realities, and maybe he's going to be exploring George Clooney's Caped Crusader and his Earth where he lives. Potentially Barry's going to run there by accident, or it's that his reality has been completely reset and it's just a new timeline change, and so it's just someone else's Batman. So in my opinion, I would really like to see this. I think that's the whole point of Flashpoint. Like, the idea of Flashpoint is almost similar to Crisis on Infinite Earths, so I get why they cite it here. It's the idea of going back in time, changing things. You see this different timeline, the Flashpoint timeline, which is by itself really fascinating, but at the end of the film you have to fix the timeline, and so you go to a future and everything can be different. Like, yeah, it can be kind of close to the way that reality was before Barry broke the timeline, but if they do small changes, whether it be just some actors changed or the story being actually changed in terms of like the Flash's future, you have so many opportunities to introduce new characters, maybe bring back some other people that weren't in the film but could potentially be in a Flash 2 or some future DCU projects. Again, we don't know how involved the Flash is going to be in James Gunn's new vision for the DC universe in the next however many years. But there's always the opportunity that maybe the person leading the Brave and the Bold Batman film that is set to come out in the next few years from James Gunn and DC Studios, that could be linked to this film. So potentially it could even be George Clooney as Batman. Although I do have a strong feeling that he's going to go for a younger Batman, kind of a similar age as Robert Pattinson's Batman. That's just an instinct that I have, because if you look at what we've had previously, obviously the big one has been Ben Affleck, and he's a bit older. And obviously in The Flash you have Michael Keaton, who is much older. So why not go for a kind of younger Batman, as well as maybe some other Batman or the different members of the Bat family in the Brave and the Bold, which I think would be very, very cool. And so again, I have to emphasize, I'm not confirming anything. I literally don't know if George Clooney's in the film or not, but that would be an amazing cameo. As was mentioned in this article, there were some reshoots after James Gunn took over DC Studios, so potentially those reshoots were for maybe retooling the film in order to end it in a way that kind of sets up the future of the DCU, because this is kind of the pivotal point. I think this is where we're going to start switching towards James Gunn's vision. Obviously we still have Blue Beetle and Aquaman, which were made before James Gunn and Peter Safran came in. However, those ending scenes for all of those films can be retooled and reshot if they want to add post-credit scenes, which they like to do in most comic book movies. So if we have one which is maybe George Clooney's scene, we could totally have another one which would set up another aspect of what James Gunn is trying to do and set up. So maybe setting up a new Batman, or it could be something completely different. Same thing kind of happened for Shazam. If you saw the ending scene, the post-credit, you had James Gunn's wife showing up. Obviously she's from Suicide Squad and also Peacemaker, but she is obviously going to be a big character in the future, and she was setting up the future with Shazam because they wanted him to join the Justice Society. And I believe that came from when, James Gunn came in and he was like, okay, you guys have done your films, but if you could add one post-credit scene to link it towards what we're trying to build in the future, that would be great. And so I believe The Flash is probably going to do something as well like that. But otherwise, I think most of the film is going to be unscathed by the changes. And I guess if James Gunn has any plans for a future Flash, that's going to be not Ezra Miller. Obviously, Ezra Miller has been shrouded with controversy over the last year or so. Lots of people are expecting Ezra to be recast, or them to introduce a new Flash, maybe a Wally West. If they were to do it, now would be the chance, because that's the whole point of Flashpoint. As I said earlier, you can make any changes basically that you want. Yeah, it's a big thing to, fully erase Barry, but like with what is suggested in this article with Clooney being Batman instead of Michael Keaton or instead of Ben Affleck, they can do the same. It can just be a replacement of Ezra's Flash, and it can be a new Flash in this new timeline. Maybe Ezra erases himself or something like that. We've seen it before. Obviously, Ezra has crossed over to the CW with Grant Gustin's Flash. He got his name from Grant Gustin's Flash. So we know he's not the only Flash out there. So what happens if he's potentially replaced in a post-credit scene or at the ending of the film? I think that is totally possible at this point. But I really want to hear your thoughts about this down in the comments below. Let me know. Do you think that this is at all possible that they could replace the Flash at the end of his own film? And what are you thinking about Batman right now? Do you think that George Clooney could show up in that post-credit scene, or do you think it's going to be different? And again, I have to emphasize that this report did come out a couple months back at the end of February, so a lot could have changed since then. We had the CinemaCon viewing in April. That's the same day when I watched the film, and they emphasized that it was unfinished. And also online, Andy Muschietti has teased that he had different cameos that they had recorded. They did some CGI maybe, and they could be potential deleted scenes. But also there's a possibility with them having tested it out, they could change any cameo that they have or any scene that they have, because they have a lot in the bank vault. Like, they've got a lot of footage that they can use, and apparently a lot has been deleted. There was like a 4-hour cut at one point according to Andy Muschietti, so they can definitely replace some stuff if they deem it worthy, based on the reactions that came out of CinemaCon and any future screenings that they do of The Flash before they actually get a picture locked together. And obviously that will be the final film. It will have no more changes. It will release in cinemas in mid-June, so in about a month from now. But in the meantime, by them saying, oh, it's unfinished, they definitely have given themselves the leeway to change some stuff if they want to add or remove any bits that they aren't so confident about. So again, we don't know if we're going to see Michael Keaton be replaced by George Clooney in this film. And for all we know, this report could actually be false. Like, it could just be a rumor, according to this like one source. But it could have been true at the time, if you believe it. But maybe when we come to watching it in June, it could be totally different. So we're just going to have to wait and see. I'm interested to see the changes that they make. Obviously, I'll report to you guys the changes that they make because I've seen an unfinished version of the cut. Obviously, I can't talk about it right now because the embargo hasn't broken yet. But once we've all seen it, I will discuss some of those changes if there is anything significant by the time we watch it mid-June. So that pretty much does it for this video, guys. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you enjoyed the video, please be sure to leave a like and a comment. It really helps out the channel. Also subscribe and turn on notifications so you don't miss any future videos. And you can click on the top right corner of the screen to watch my latest video. And so I'll catch you guys later. Goodbye.
I see red.